Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here, and something really disastrous happened tonight. It doesn't have anything to do with the house, don't worry. What happened was, I wanted to have fun. And I wanted to do like a commentary of another porno, and I had a Clockwork Orange porn parody picked out, and it seemed like it would have been really good, but the laptop was just not working. Like, it was really strange, and I'm telling you guys, it was very weird, because it was so weird. It's never happened before, the way that the laptop acted. It was so out of whack that I have to say it was spiritual interference, because I would go to one film, that wouldn't work. I would go to another site for the same film, that wouldn't work. I would go to another site with a different film, that one wasn't good. I turned that off. Like, it was a disaster. Like, there was this one site, and it had this blue button, and I had like a mental breakdown. I was like, I pressed the blue button. I don't want to I pressed the blue button. It's a blue buffering now. It's a blue button. And I had this really funny breakdown and everything, but I didn't really think the commentary was worthwhile, so I just deleted it. It had some funny moments, but it just felt like it was such a disaster. Like, I went from Clockwork Orange. Then I wanted to watch the sequel to Two Girls, One Cup. Couldn't do that unless I did it in parts. And then I went and tried to watch another movie. And it was this really creepy ass, like, clown movie where they had it like a circle. Like, like it's just a circle, like you're looking through a sniper scope, and it was so creepy. It looked like a snuff film, and it was like a fisting movie. Oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? It was called the Kit Kat Club, and it was terrifying, and I turned that off. And then doesn't this sound terrible? And then I put on this Asian one, and that one was kind of boring. It didn't seem really like it had a story or it had multiple actors. And then I turned on another one. That one was trash. And finally, I landed on this one called Les Poo, and I was able to watch a lot of that, but it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was so poorly made. The actors kept on looking off camera and talking off camera, but acting like they weren't, and they were whispering, and you couldn't even understand them, and they were like puking milk, and it was really weird. Like, they had this milk carton, and they were like puking milk, but then the biggest disgrace was there was this really sexy, dark-haired woman. It's either a girl named Vicky or Rafaela. And I swear, she was like one of the sexiest women I've ever seen. And she had these like smoky dark eyes, and she'd make all these faces, and she was very, very hot. Well, they had this thing that she was supposed to do. Oh my God, what the hell is that? There is a fog coming out now outside. That is really creepy. Like, you guys see what I mean? How weird everything is getting now? Like, things are really starting to get weird around here, and that's really weird. It looks like a smoke, like a mist. Ugh, that's creepy. But what happened was she was supposed to do something involving eating something, and I think you guys know what I mean. And it was so bizarre, because she asked for the fork and knife off camera. Then she gets handed them, and then they do this freeze frame where it said, "We offered to pay this girl 10,000 euros extra to eat it, but she wouldn't. If you guys know any girls who are willing to do that, please contact us so that they can possibly be in these films. It was the weirdest, it was the most disappointing fucking thing ever, because the movie, it's in the title. I mean, it's in the title what the movie's supposed to be about. I thought this will be really funny, it'll be really gross out, it'll be really, really gross. But it was just weird. Like, they puked all these spaghetti noodles all over the place before the film even started, which made it even harder because I had to eat spaghetti tonight. I mean, just thinking about it. See, like, I have an easy gag reflex. Like, that's the truth. And, it was such a disappointment. Like, they didn't even start doing any of that stuff in the title until like the last 10 minutes. It was such a disaster. And the ultimate just FU was when the girl would not do the thing she was supposed to do. And they literally had this whole caption on camera. It was like the most embarrassing thing ever. It was, what was even more embarrassing was the fact that the camera woman, the person filming the porno, was a woman, and she could have done it if she's so interested in doing this eating fetish thing. She could have done it herself, and that's what really bothered me, is that she could have said, okay, let's have a really meta moment here, and let's have the camera woman come out and do it while the other woman goes off and holds the camera. Like, that would have been kind of cool and kind of like unexpected. But it was so terrible, it was such a bad commentary, that it was like, it really just felt like the spirits not wanting me to watch any of that and not wanting me to do that commentary. And it feels like every day I need to watch a movie where somebody's house gets saved, because then it builds up in the subconscious, like, over and over and over again. You see the visual imagery of a house being saved. And because what I did was, I was like just watching YouTube, and I saw a clip of Buffalo 66, and I remembered, oh yeah, there's that movie Casper, the Spirited Beginning, which I really loved as a kid, and I own it now on VHS in the white clamshell. And that movie involves a house being saved. That's what the whole movie's about. And so I am here today to review Casper, the Spirited Beginning. And I'm sorry for taking so long to start the review, but I felt like giving an explanation, because I spent 2 hours doing this commentary that was a huge failure, and I deleted it. And so it was definitely the biggest disappointment commentary of all time. And that's saying something. So, I really love Casper, the Spirited Beginning. I don't really have anything bad to say about it at all. This is honestly one of my favorite kids' movies I've ever seen. It is such a phenomenal movie in terms of acting, in terms of, it's not Oscar-worthy acting, but everyone is just perfect at the character they're playing. Like, for instance, the main kid. Now, here's another part of the spell, okay? Here's another really, really creepy, weird thing. The family in this movie is named Carson. And so you have Chris Carson, and you have the dad, last name Carson. And, you know, obviously you just add one more letter, it becomes Carlson. And I know that it was obviously probably a reference to Chris Carter, because the main kid he's a fan of the X-Files, but still, it's just very weird and very spooky coincidence. It just shows you guys that this is working, and that I will keep my house. That's for damn sure. So, just like in real life, you have this house, and it's called the Applegate Mansion. And it's a real landmark to where it's like something that tourists would visit. It's something that, I don't know how any town could even think about tearing this building down. It's like it's a place where, it's so huge. It's basically like the center of town is all around this mansion, and it does need some fixing. It needs some sprucing up. It looks very old and dusty, and it doesn't look very good. Like my house looks a lot better, obviously, but still, it deserved to be kept up. And they wanted to tear it down and just add like a burger stand or whatever they said. And so the movie's really, number one, it's all about Casper, and he's this ghost who they kind of rip off Harry Potter a little bit. Oh, wait a second. This came out, I think, before Harry Potter. Uh-oh. There's this thing where ghosts go to like a school or something, and when you die, you become a ghost, and you go to the school led by Kabosh. And Kabosh is voiced by James Earl Jones. And Casper escapes on accident, and he gets transported to Deedstown. And it's him trying to learn how to become a scary ghost, and him trying to learn how to scare people. But he's a failure because he likes people, and he just wants to be friends with people. He's Casper the fucking friendly ghost. And at the same time, you have his uncles. They're not really his uncles, which I really like that twist, honestly. Like, that's one of the things in terms of mythology that I really liked about this movie. One of the few things was that, these three guys, they're not even really his uncles. They're just three guys who, at the end of the movie, they pose as his uncles so that Casper can't get taken away. And then they're like, oh, you want to be his uncle, huh? You want to be his uncle, huh? You want to be his uncle, huh? Well, guess what? You're going to be trapped with Casper forever. And it's like, oh, shit. Like, I thought that was actually a great idea. That was so much better than thinking like, oh, Casper has these three uncles and they're really goofy and, they're related to him for real. Like, So, it's all about Casper becoming the friendly ghost, and then at the same time you have this mansion that's gonna get torn down, and you have this kid named Chris Carson, and he's a horror fan. He's so cool. He looks a lot like my brother did as a kid. Like, he looks almost exactly like him, and he's just like a cool kid. Like, he is a little like over the top. Like, really, like, all he thinks about is like supernatural stuff, to the point of where it's a little bit like, like, guys, I love horror stuff, but I don't think about like horror all the time. Like, that's not like, but of course he is a kid. And so, when I was a kid, I was like that with horror. I would think about horror all the time, every day, just constantly. And I got criticized for it too. Like, if you guys read my memoir, my first volume, there was this time where these teachers, or this one bitch teacher, she tried to give me a contract that said that if my grades didn't improve, my parents would take away all my horror movies. And it's like, she made this contract with like a psychologist. It was very bizarre. And then she, along with the even bitchier bitch counselor, they got together for like an intervention after school. And they actually, this is the even weirder part, they went around asking other teachers to inform on me. And so they went around to all my past teachers, except for the lovely Miss Litvin, who had retired by then. And they asked them, like, oh, am I bad? Am I weird. And so what happened was, the third grade teacher, she was such a bitch that she said, yeah, he's really obsessed with horror. And so, like, they were trying to have, like, this intervention where they're, like, telling my parents that I can't draw anything horror, I can't watch anything horror at home. Like, it was so cringeworthy, and my parents just sat there and laughed at them. And it was just so, horrible people. But that's what it reminds me of. Like, and so he's a very likable character because of that, and he has these bullies. And another strange thing is that the one weird element is the love interest. He has this, I think her name is Jennifer or Jessica or something. She's very cute. I thought she was very cute as a kid myself, but I was kind of weirded out because her character, she just kind of pops up in the movie like a ghost in real life, and then she leaves. And so when I was a kid, I definitely appreciated when she would pop up on screen. But now it's just like who is, why does she keep popping up like she's this important character? Like she's like, she likes him, but she hangs around these really despicable bully pieces of shit people. Like, these bullies, they're just so horrible and mean, and they have no redeeming qualities to them whatsoever. And it's like, why did she ever hang around them to begin with? Like, there really is never any explanation. And she likes Chris, and so she kind of sticks up for him, and then, of course, the bullies kick her out. And her character arc is literally her at the end of the movie. She turns to the bullies and she says, you guys are butts. You were always butts. And then she runs away. She runs away from them, and she goes to join with Chris. And it's kind of like okay, I guess he had a love interest. Very weird. That's the thing, is that most of Chris, the kid character, most of the movie is about him being lonely. And about how his dad, he's always working. Steve Guttenberg, we will talk about him. And Casper, he's busy training to become a ghost. So Chris, he goes home and there's no one. It's just Chris all alone at home. And it's no wonder he thinks about this supernatural stuff. He's got nothing to do. He doesn't have any people to hang out with. He doesn't have anyone. So, you could imagine him just sitting around at home watching the X-Files all day long. But the thing is that why doesn't the girl hang out with him? You know what I mean? Why doesn't he take her upstairs and show her and do what Mulder should have done to Scully all those years, or actually what he does do to Scully at one point, which results in her having a super soldier baby or some bullshit that they're doing in season 9. Why doesn't he ever hang out with her? They could have had a whole sequence where she comes over to hang out with him, and then maybe Casper doesn't reveal himself to her, and so then it's oh, maybe he is imagining things. They could have done something with that, but instead it's just oh, Chris is lonely, and it's he's got this cute girl right here. She was a big crush for me as a little kid. I would rent this movie at the library all the time just for this girl, and I would just be oh my god, Chris, you don't need Steve Guttenberg. You got the cute girl from school. You don't need Steve Guttenberg to have a good afternoon. You don't need Steve. Especially in this movie. Let's talk about him. Steve Guttenberg. He plays the father of Chris, and what's funny is that This is the first movie of Steve Guttenberg's I ever saw, and so whenever I think of him, I'll always think of this movie. And God, he is the biggest piece of shit in this movie. Like, he is so... Oh my God, he plays the role of the dad who works too much so well. He does such a good job. It's kind of scary. Like, he plays this he's a workaholic, and it's almost like kind of like painful to watch, because you know that there's people like that. You know, like Kim in Better Call Saul, the way she was in season 3, kind of, where she ends up getting in a car crash because she was having too much fun. It's the same type of thing where he's so obsessed with work that he's at home. He comes home after all this other shit that he's done, that he's in trouble for. I mean, he's done so much terrible shit that his son locks him out. Like, his son locks him out, and then he's like, give me a good reason to let you in the house. And it's like, that is kind of true. Like, his dad just wants to be at work all the time, apparently, and so why should he let him into the house? Like, seriously. And I know he should, but, seriously, he's like at work all day and night long, and he comes in the house. They're supposed to have dinner. And that was another funny thing. They have this dinner making sequence where Chris and Casper make dinner together. It is just the most weird 90s thing I've ever seen. Like, he dresses up as like a firefighter, and then he's like mashing potatoes, and then he makes like grilled cheeses, and he gets like a bunch of vanilla ice cream scoops and puts them in a bowl with chocolate syrup, and it's very weird. And he did like a weird thing at the beginning of the movie too. Like, I can't even remember exactly, but he takes like whipped cream, he sprays it all over like cornflakes, and then he puts like orange juice in it. Like, this movie's weird, and I love it. It's just so weird and fun. But the dad comes home, and he's supposed to eat dinner, and then he gets a call from the mayor, and he's like, I gotta answer the call. Even though I just came back from work, I gotta answer the mayor's call right now. And then he decides to go leave for work, and it's like, bruh, you gotta eat dinner. Like, why don't you eat dinner and then go back to work? Like, what a piece of shit. And of course, he does something really, really bad in this movie, like where he is so unlikable before he turns good at the end, where they have this kind of misunderstanding type thing, like a cliche, where Casper is supposed to meet Chris's father, and then Chris's father thinks that Chris has an over-imagination. And so, of course, Casper doesn't show because the uncles take him away. And so then the dad gets mad, and he says, it's time to grow up! And he goes into his room, and he tears down all of his horror stuff, and he takes, like, all of his supernatural, like, toys and posters and books, and it's, like, it's so, like, ugh. Like, that there's parents probably who are like that. And so it was just so cringeworthy to watch this character. He was so unlikable. This is how Arnold should have been in Jingle All the Way. Like, this is what his character would really be like. Like, Steve Guttenberg did such a good job at playing that character that it's kind of like, I wonder if Steve Guttenberg had a dad like that. And I'm not saying it's that he was a bad person, but I'm just wondering, like, how did he know how perfectly to play this role of, like, a really, really bad parent, like, really bad. At the end, he turns good, but it's almost, like, kind of weird because he does a complete 180 where all of a sudden he doesn't want to tear the mansion down because his son is trapped in there. And it's like, I don't know. And then you have, of course, the least controversial person in the movie, Lori Loughlin. And she plays the teacher, Sheila Fistograph. And I thought she was pretty good. I thought she's a little annoying, and she really, I don't know, she comes off as, and I know she's been in Hallmark movies after that, and that's the exact feeling that I kind of got from her, was that she's someone who's, like, she should be in a Hallmark movie rather than a regular movie. And she was pretty good, though. She had some good moments. I swear, guys, this is so creepy, this, like, mist and fog. It is very weird. It's I don't know. It's really, really weird. It's like a mist, like, bath. Like, just imagine, like, there's, like, a hot tub over there. Like, that's what it looks like. The steam that comes out of a hot tub. It's very creepy. I think that my favorite parts of the movie, though, were the parts with the principal. There's this principal, and he's really, really dumb and shitty. And he just always gets in the wrong situations at the wrong times. And there's this one hilarious part where he's on the toilet, and Casper comes in to scare him, and then Casper's like, "Excuse me, sir, you'll be needing the toilet paper right now," which I thought that was very strange, because even though he is a ghost, Casper is a little boy. And there's no way in hell a little boy of any type, hopefully, goes into a man's stall while he's going to the bathroom and says, "Here you go, here's the toilet paper." Like, no kid would ever do that. Not even if you're a ghost. You would stay the hell away. But I guess he was trying to scare him. But still, I thought, like, that was really weird. The principal gets so scared. He gets so scared, he doesn't even pull up his pants. And he's running around the school with his underpants on. Like, just these, like, weird underpants that are really old-fashioned. And the funniest part, though, is when he goes up to his secretary and he says, I need you now!" And she's like, "Ah!" And she smacks him and knocks him to the ground because, she thinks that he wants to sexually assault her. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, I was not expecting that joke to be in a kid's movie. Like, it was so funny. And, like, stuff like that was the funniest part of the movie. And then there's another part where they accidentally drop a balloon on him. And then there's another part where Casper does this whole thing in the library with this fire extinguisher, and it sprays all over the principal's face. I mean, this principal, he just cannot stop getting pounded on. It reminds me a lot of Snow Day, if you remember the principal in Snow Day, where everyone just keeps on throwing snowballs at him over and over again. And he's just, like, getting harassed by snowballs, and, he can't even go outside, and, it reminds me a lot of that. And I thought, though, I really love this movie. Like, it's such a positive, fun movie. And the highlight for me, though, is Chuck from Better Call Saul. Chuck from Better Call Saul plays a demolition guy who's like a former army person, and he has PTSD. He's some sort of a weird, like, he's still in the military mindset, and so he's crazy. He's not like a normal army veteran, who's just, that they have PTSD. It's not like that makes you crazy, like, but this guy is crazy. Like, he is really, really crazy for real. And he just loves destroying things. And so they had this really fun sequence where he's planting dynamite inside the mansion. And it's sort of like a Mission Impossible style sequence. And see, there's just so much fun stuff in this movie. There's just so much stuff to love. There's so many fun little things that happen that it makes you just think like, I wish they made movies like this now. Like, not kids' movies all the time, but just, I wish they make movies like this now. Because it was such a simple plot, but it was such a good plot at the same time. And then, of course, they save the mansion at the end. And they save it literally just because the dad finds out his son is trapped in there. My son's in there! What are you doing? He gets very upset for the first time in the whole movie about something that's actually important. And so everyone plays a part, and the ending happens. And I just have to say, like, I don't really think it's a great Casper origin story. I mean, it's fine, but it's like, there are a lot of like cutesy little things where they're kind of like parodying Star Wars with the training Luke and stuff like that was kind of queer. But other than that, I really love this movie. It is, to me, the best Casper movie by far. I mean, this one, you have this one, and then the second best would probably be Casper's Haunted Christmas. But that movie has the cringeworthy the cringeworthy dolphin dream sequence with the girl. Oh my God, that was terrible. Ooh. But you know what's kind of cool about that one is that the kid who plays Chris in this movie, he plays Casper in Casper's Spirit of Haunted Christmas, or whatever it's called. And so he went from playing a human kid in a Casper movie to playing Casper himself. And I thought that was really cool. And I would highly recommend the Christmas one as well. It would probably make for a great sequel to this, if you want to look at it like that, even though they don't connect really. And then after that, I would say probably is the regular Casper. I guess. I don't really... no. The next one's Casper Meets Wendy, which is kind of like a chick flick. But it's okay. It's okay. It has some, kind of soap opera kind of stories. And then the worst one, I think, is the regular, just Casper movie. I really think that this movie is, I don't think it's ever been that good. I think there's some great things about it. I mean, when I was a kid, I really thought Christina Ricci was something in the movie, but really, it's just not that great. It's just not as good as the other ones. And so I really would say if you want to watch a Casper movie, just stick to watching Casper, The Spirited Beginning, and Casper's Haunted Christmas. Other than that, just forget about Casper. Just pretend like Casper never existed, which he didn't. He's not real. Or maybe he is. I've never thought about that before. I've never looked it up. Maybe he was based on a real ghost that the writer encountered or something. I don't know. So, in terms of food, I really love the part at the end where they save the mansion, obviously. I really love everything about the movie. I gotta say that this movie, it is like something I do as a kid. Well, a teenager, actually. And this is like a confession. I would go to Kroger and I would get a whole box of chocolate donuts. And they were different types of chocolate donuts. And they were regular sized donuts, they weren't small donuts. And I would get those chocolate donuts and I'd eat like the entire package in one sitting with milk. Or I'd eat like half the package with milk. And it was just so delicious. and so not good for you, especially with me, where I have stomach acid, and so if I eat stuff like donuts, I have really bad stomach acid afterward. But I really loved it. It gives you everything that you could love. Like, there's not anything really about this movie that I don't like. Like, what is there in this movie not to like? It's just a fun family film, and it would make a great movie to watch around Halloween time. It would, what the hell is that? Thought that was a mosquito for a second. It would make a great movie to watch any time of the year. I would highly recommend Casper's Spirited Beginning. Not as a Casper origin movie, but just as a Casper movie. Because if none of the Caspers connect, really, and so it doesn't even really matter if, like, this is an origin or what. And then please subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more movie reviews. And please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of Casper's Spirited Beginning. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon. Oh, yeah, and tomorrow, what I will be doing is all day, or as long as it takes, I will be walking around my yard, digging for artifacts. And that will help with my case as well. And so that please, goodbye everybody, see you soon.